You grab a jar of honey off the grocery shelf for your tea, toast, or yogurt, thinking you're getting pure, natural goodness straight from the bees. But here's the gut punch. A shocking amount of the honey sold in stores, especially the cheap imported stuff, isn't real honey at all. It's often cheap sugar syrup mixed with just a splash of actual honey, or sometimes none, ultra-filtered to hide its origins. Recent tests by European authorities flagged nearly half of imported honey samples as suspicious, and a huge share of that fraud traces straight back to China through what's called honey laundering. Stick around, because today we're pulling back the curtain on one of the sneakiest food scams out there. So what should real honey look like? It's made the natural way. Bees gather nectar from flowers, mix it with enzymes in their own bodies, then fan it with their wings inside the hive to evaporate most of the water. The result is thick, stable honey with less than 18% moisture, no added sugars, no chemicals, no heavy processing. It stays good for years thanks to its natural acidity and low water content, and it carries tiny bits of pollen, antioxidants, and the unique flavors of whatever flowers the bees visited. Why is genuine honey naturally expensive? Beekeeping is hard seasonal work. A healthy hive might only produce 30 to 60 pounds of honey in a good year, maybe 80 to 100 pounds in perfect conditions. To make just 1 pound, bees have to visit around 2 million flowers and fly the equivalent of more than 55,000 miles. Hives need constant care to fight off mites, diseases, and bad weather. Harvesting happens only once or twice a year, usually by hand or with special equipment. All that time, land and effort mean real raw honey was never meant to be sold for pennies. Then demand went through the roof. People started seeing honey as a healthy, natural sweetener thanks to wellness trends and its reputation as a superfood. In the US, consumption hit a record high in 2024, about 2 pounds per person, with total use reaching nearly 689 million pounds. And here's the kicker. Roughly 74% of the honey Americans eat is imported. But real supply couldn't keep pace. Bee colonies have been dying at alarming rates. US beekeepers lost around 55% of their hives in the most recent full-year survey, the highest rate ever recorded. Varroa mites, extreme weather, and habitat loss are hammering beekeepers. With demand exploding and real production struggling, prices for authentic honey started climbing fast. That gap between what people want and what nature can actually provide created the perfect opening for fraudsters. And China, the world's biggest honey producer, flooded the market with suspiciously low-priced honey. This is where the honey laundering kicks in. Chinese operations take cheap industrial syrups made from rice, corn, beet, or cane sugar and mix them with a little real honey, or sometimes just feed sugar water directly to the bees to produce it faster and cheaper. To cover their tracks, they ultra-filter the mixture, stripping out all the natural pollen so it's almost impossible to trace back to its real source. Then they play the border game. The US has had steep anti-dumping tariffs on Chinese honey since 2001, sometimes over $2 per pound, precisely to stop this kind of cheating. So the fraudsters ship the fake or blended stuff to places like Vietnam, India, Thailand, or Malaysia, slap on new labels claiming it's from those countries, and re-export it to the US and Europe as legitimate honey. Real-world cases prove how big this is. In the famous 2013 Honeygate investigation, US authorities charged major packers and brokers, including Grobe Farms and Honey Solutions, for laundering millions of pounds of Chinese honey through other countries to dodge more than $180 million in duties. The companies ended up paying millions in fines. In the EU's big 2021 and 2022 From the Hives operation, 46% of imported honey samples were flagged as suspicious, and 74% of those suspicious ones came from China. As recently as 2024 and 2025, labs started catching brand new novel syrup markers that older tests missed, showing the scammers are constantly evolving their tricks. It's not random, it's a massive organized system designed to undercut real honey. So why hasn't this been shut down? Here's the plot twist. Cheap fake honey actually works for a lot of people in the supply chain, at least in the short term. Big importers and supermarket chains can buy it at rock-bottom prices, then sell it as affordable pure honey with a healthy markup. Shoppers get what looks like a good deal. Testing every single shipment is expensive and slow, and regulators only check a small fraction of imports. Honest beekeepers in the US, Europe, and elsewhere get squeezed out because they can't compete with the artificially low prices. The system quietly keeps turning a profit, while the real bees, real beekeepers, and your wallet lose out. But you don't have to keep getting fooled. Here's how to spot the real stuff and protect yourself. Go for raw and unfiltered honey. It often has visible specks of pollen or wax and will naturally crystallize or get thick over time. Fake honey usually stays perfectly runny forever. Check for a harvest date and the beekeeper's name or specific floral source instead of just a vague best buy date. Buy local or clearly traceable honey from small apiaries. Look for labels like True Source Certified. Price is a big clue. If it's way cheaper than everything else, it's probably too good to be true. Quick home tests. Drop a spoonful in water. Real honey sinks and stays in a blob. Fake stuff spreads or dissolves fast. Or put a drop on your thumb, pure honey stays put, fake spreads out thin. Support local beekeepers and brands that are transparent about where their honey comes from. Your taste buds, your health, and the real honey industry will all thank you. So, have you ever wondered if that jar of honey in your kitchen is the real deal? Drop your stories in the comments. Does yours never crystallize, taste weird, or come super cheap? Hit like if this opened your eyes, subscribe for more deep dives into what you're really eating, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay sweet, but stay smart.